Hey, welcome to the Tony Scott Internet Show. I am Tony Scott. Good morning to you. Got a Thursday happening. Scandal Thursday, right? Scandal's back for the fourth season tonight. What's going to happen? Who knows? But everybody gets strapped in for tonight. Is Shonda Rhimes night on ABC, right? Her Grey's Anatomy scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. The Viola Davis show is going to be up tonight on ABC. And speaking of ABC, I don't know if you caught Blackish last night with Anthony Anderson and Tracy Ellis Ross and Lawrence Fishburne. That was pretty good. That was good TV last night. I don't know if you saw it or not, but the Bro Mitzvah. Oh my goodness. That was good. You know, positive images and humor, creativity. It was slick. I mean, well done. Well, I know Lawrence Fishburne is one of the producers behind the scenes and stuff. Well done to all. Looking forward to the show Blackish every Thursday night on ABC, because that show right there was the business. Yes. All right, lots to get to today. Let's do that. There's buzz that there may be a protest for the Cardinal playoff games at the Metrolink. Eric Vickers, chief of staff for Senator Jamila Nasheed, said he sent a letter to Major League Baseball warning of a shutdown as leverage to get a special prosecutor in the Michael Brown case. Now, let me tell you how I feel about this. I don't even have a problem with that. I don't. As long as people are not put in harm's way, okay? I don't really care for the shutting down the highway thing, because that puts people in harm's way. But this, you know, I don't see this being, unless somebody lays across the tracks. Now, don't do that, you know. But I don't have a problem with civil disobedience if people are not going to get hurt. I don't want people to get hurt, is what I don't want. Captain Ron Johnson addressed the Michael Brown memorial that caught fire. I told you about that yesterday, right? It happened Tuesday morning. And there were rumors about how it was started. Some people were accusing the police of starting it. He said protesters, he said he saw the video and people were standing around looking at the fire. They watched for like 11 minutes as it burned. They could have just poured a cup of water on it and it would have ended right there, but nobody did that. Can't say, I never thought about that. I got to be real honest with you. But, you know, people stood around and watched. Somebody could have put it out. But, you know, we can't blame everything on the police. You just can't do that. That just it's silly. It makes organizers and people who are with the movement look stupid. I mean, not everything is the police department's fault. Okay, was it the police department's fault that somebody broke into Beauty Town on West Florissant and looted the place the other night? No, it's not the police's fault. But, you know, we can't blame them for everything. Now, Prosecutor Bob McCullough says that, you know, even though the grand jury is charged into the term into January, nobody's thinking it's going to go anywhere near January, even December, he says. It's just to make sure that there's time to cover everything, is what he's saying. He'll have them look over first-degree murder, second-degree murder, voluntary, involuntary manslaughter, whatever else may apply. He's putting it out there. Now, he has said that we all know Darren Wilson spoke to the grand jury. And some of the witnesses have spoken to the grand jury. And when people speak to the grand jury, witnesses, and even Darren Wilson, no lawyers are allowed in there, was my understanding. That's the way as I understand it, people don't have lawyer representation with the grand jury. They're there to answer questions and and the grand jury goes over that and goes over some evidence and things like that. But he's saying it'll probably be at the latest early November and not January. So we'll see. But there are a lot of options on the table. Is it going to be first-degree murder, second-degree murder, voluntary, involuntary manslaughter? I mean, or no indictment at all. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine them not indicting him for anything. But it does seem like the longer it takes, the more that the fix is in. Does it not? It just seems that way to me, and it turns my stomach when I even think about that. That it's very possible, and some people say very likely, that Darren Wilson is going to get away with murder. Did you hear about the Where We Stand report that compares the St. Louis region with 34 other metropolitan statistical areas? Because the way it's found St. Louis area to be the sixth most segregated. And among the findings, based on 2012 measures, the median household income for whites is $59,041. For blacks, it's $30,479. The percent of white families living in poverty is 9.2%. The percent of black families living in poverty is 30.6%. That's a little under 1 out of every 3 African Americans are living in poverty. The black infant was 3.6 times more likely than a white infant to die in the first year of life. What? Blacks were more than twice as likely as whites to have no health care coverage. Oh, man. You know, and I've said this before, you know, the worst kept secret about St. Louis, the St. Louis region, is the racial tension that is here. I mean, it really is. The racial tension that is here is like the best kept secret or the worst kept secret, depending on your perspective, about the St. Louis region. When I moved here in '89, I said this before, you could feel it in the air. You could feel the attitudes that whites had towards blacks. You could feel that. And if you don't recognize that there is a race problem in the St. Louis region, you're not being honest or you ain't paying attention. It's one of the two. One of the two. That's all I'm saying. But the president is catching heat again, President Obama, this time for saluting 2 Marines while holding a cup of coffee when he was getting off Marine One. A former congressman and retired Lieutenant Colonel Allen West says if there was ever any doubts as to the level of regard Obama holds for our military, this latte salute seals the deal. And Sean Hannity on Fox asked if former President Bush would have done a latte salute. Well, if you go to talking360.com and go to the Streets of Talking page, I'll show you a picture of the picture everybody's talking about with President Obama holding a latte or a cup of coffee or I don't know what it was while saluting the troops. But I'll also show you a picture of George W. Bush, Bush 2, saluting the troops while holding a dog. Is that better? Is that better? That he was holding a dog? Well, you know, the latte, it's not human, it doesn't have a heartbeat. He was holding something human. Shut up. Shut the up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, man. You know, because you know, that's not the first time Sean Hannity has made an ass of himself. What kind of staff does he have not to make sure that what he says is going to make him look like an idiot? Do they not have like pre-show meetings or planning or anything like that? Is he just winging it off the top of his head? Because if he is, and I've heard this before, that he really is not that smart of a man. I've heard that before, but I dismissed it because, you know, people probably said that with some bias. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. The Marines, though, for the record, the Marines say that there is no such thing as salute etiquette. They say how the president chooses to address the Marines is totally fine with them, which tells me that they know for certain that the president, any president, will never disrespect the Marines. So they have confidence in their president, at least in that regard. So I was happy to hear that. You're not going to be happy to hear about Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's says yesterday that it believes customers' credit card data was stolen from 216 of its shops, including at least 8 in the St. Louis area. This is getting ridiculous. Jimmy John! You can't, man. You know, we have to come up with a way, and maybe because, I mean, Google Wallet is a thing. It's been around for a while, and it's pretty cool. And the way it was explained that, what was it called? Apple Pay? Apple's version of Google Wallet, I guess. It doesn't allow, you know, you don't have to. You don't have to take your wallet or your credit card out. You know, you can pay with your phone. And what it is that the phone, it sends some kind of encrypted number that's only used one time. So it's not like somebody could write it down and use it again, you know, go to Amazon.com and, you know, order books or whatever. And you can't do that. It's a one-time only, like, confirmation number that can be used. That may be the way we're going to have to go because, you know, information is being stolen from these companies who, for whatever reason, think they're secure and they're not. So if you've if you've eaten at Jimmy John's lately, there's 8 of them in the St. Louis area that they say were compromised. So you might want to, you know, visit Jimmy John's website and see who you can contact over there for that. So your information is not. If you've never had your information, your identity stolen, that's no walk in the park. I had somebody steal mine one time, and they used it on some website, DannyAsh.com or something. I don't know. Danny Ass or Danny Ash. I don't know what it was. Some porno site. And then they charged up a few other things. It was in the hundreds of dollars before we caught it. And thankfully the card was canceled and we weren't liable for that. Just the hassle, though. The hassle of that. Because, if you don't notice it, you get a bill and you just pay it and you don't look at the statement. Things start adding up on there. You go back and look at it. You go, man, this has been going on for a year. I've been getting these charges. What's up? And, next thing you know, your credit's messed up. And the longer it goes undetected, the harder it is to get your identity back. I mean, it's just a big, giant mess. And hopefully that never, ever happens to you. But if it does, boy, you got my sympathy because I went through that, and that ain't fun at all. I got to tell you about Amber Rose, and I got to tell you about Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. I watched that. And I'm kind of sorry that I did. I'll tell you about that after this.
Do you want to reach an audience that you haven't tapped into yet and not blow your budget? The Tony Scott Internet Show is new, growing, and available to you. And you don't have to be the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, yes, or even eighth commercial in a commercial break like on the radio. Advertising on the Tony Scott Internet Show is extremely affordable. Contact us at advertise@TonyScottShow.com.
Welcome back to the Tony Scott Internet Show. I am Tony Scott on this Thursday morning. Glad to have you with me, and hopefully you're sharing this podcast. It means a lot, and it helps a lot. I can't begin to tell you and I've tried to explain this before. It's vital right now as I try and grow this, and everybody who says that they would support anything I do, well, now it's time to put up or shut up, I guess. But if you could share it, give it a thumbs up, download it, pass it on, email the link, whatever it takes to help get this out there. It would mean the world to me, and I really do appreciate that. So as it turns out yesterday, Amber Rose, who I think is hot. I think she's hot. I do. She has filed for divorce from Wiz Khalifa. Irreconcilable differences is what they're calling it. No one's saying anything about a third party. There was any cheating going on. No one is saying that in the papers. Now, Wiz Khalifa did have a prenup. And he'll pay spousal, he'll pay some child support, but as far as a lump sum settlement that a lot of spouses get when it comes to a prenup and a divorce, it doesn't look like she's going to be getting any of that, and she understands that. She is seeking full custody of baby Sebastian, their son. Now, somebody posted on Facebook that you can't make a hoe a housewife. But what makes Amber Rose, what makes her a hoe? What is it that makes her a hoe? Maybe that person knows more about Amber Rose than I do. She's bisexual. That don't make you a hoe. She's dated Kanye West. That was very public. That didn't make her a hoe. Is it hoish? No. She dated and married her son's father. Is that hoish? She's taking suggestive pictures. Hoish behavior, though? If that's the case, we definitely have a hoish problem in America, if not the world, because people are taking these selfies all the time, sexting and things. That happens all the time. So you can't do that to her. So what makes her a hoe? I don't know. I don't understand that. Chrissy Teigen, John Legend's wife, I understand she's a model, but she's always posting nude or semi-nude pictures of her on Instagram and stuff like that. So I've heard. Does that make her a hoe? I don't know. Nick Cannon is her manager now. And he says he had nothing to do with Amber and Amber and Wiz Khalifa's marriage ending. Now, Nick having Amber Rose in his life as a client, well, that can't play too well with Mariah Carey, could it? Not really. I don't think so. Hey, I watched Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. I taped it and I sat and watched it because I wanted to see if I was being fair. I wanted to see, because I had blogged about it before, the St. Louis reality show Baps and things like that. And generally people know how I feel about reality shows. Now, I will say this, there are some stunningly beautiful women on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. But if I had Denzel's looks, Warren Buffett's money, and I had Omarion's, I wouldn't want any of those females. Because I can't call them ladies, because they're anything but. I'm serious. Now, I know it's not really reality TV, like they bill it, but it does make black women look very bad. And anyone who don't see that isn't being honest. And you know what? Shame on us. Shame on us. You know, why do we support stuff like that? Why do we do that by watching it? Do you know why there is a Love and Hip Hop Hollywood? Because Love and Hip Hop New York was supported big time, and Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was supported big time. And don't give me the don't block the hustle thing, because sometimes you have to step back and see something for what it is. Because not all hustles are good hustles. Not all money is good money. I mean, the image of today's black woman are these females. But Tony, they don't represent all black women. But that's all the world sees on TV. That's the image that's constantly put in front of them all the time. And these shows' biggest audiences are African Americans. It's my guilty pleasure, Tony. Well, what was your guilty pleasure before these shows? Olivia Pope, though, Tony, she's a mess. But no one's trying to pass that off as reality. Everybody clearly is aware that that's fiction. How about Being Mary Jane? Fiction. Are their lives on the show a mess? Yes, they are, but it's fiction. No one's trying to pass that off as any kind of reality. But they're still sending a message. Well, you know what? I get that. I do get that. But these love and hip hop shows and shows like them show how badly black women are in relationships. They show how black women act in public or how not to act in public, how thirsty black women are. Why? Why do we support that? It's garbage. It's huge garbage. I mean, why do we do that? It's awful television. Mona Scott Young, is she the creator of that? Whoever creates these shows, they're laughing all the way to the bank. And they will defend it. They have sat in meetings and scripted a response to people like myself when we criticize these shows for just being bad and for society. They have a scripted answer that they memorize. But the bottom line is this. Those shows do more damage than any other kind of show. I mean, how many of you watch this show while your daughters are doing their homework on the dining room table behind you? So they're seeing it too. But Tony, it's just TV. All right? Okay. If I were to go somewhere and ran across, let's say I was at the mall and Olivia was there with her friends and I saw her acting out like these females do on this TV show, I would be mortified. And I would be forced, my hand would be forced, even though she's 19 years old, my hand would be forced to pretty much snatch her out of her body. I would have to do that. You know, sometimes we have to save ourselves and our children from themselves. And that would be one of those things. I just can't see. I mean, don't get me wrong. Those women, I mean, they make you like want to pause the TV and take a screenshot of it because they're that beautiful. But their ways and how they act on that show literally turns my stomach. I mean, it really does. It's pretty bad. It really is. Is it as bad as this woman who had her baby in the trunk of a car? Did you hear about this in Florida? Oh, I got to tell you about this. You hold on. It's the Tony Scott Internet Show.
Do you want to reach an audience that you haven't tapped into yet and not blow your budget? The Tony Scott Internet Show is new, growing, and available to you. And you don't have to be the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, yes, or even eighth commercial in a commercial break like on the radio. Advertising on the Tony Scott Internet Show is extremely affordable. Contact us at advertise@TonyScottShow.com.
Welcome back to the Tony Scott Internet Show. I am Tony Scott on this Thursday. Someone sent me an email that says, can you do the weather? No, man. No, look out the window, man. That's your color radar right there. It's actually going to be a pretty good day today, so. I can't afford a weather service, man. Help me out here. I'm just saying. So a couple things here is, one, Captain Ron Johnson of the Missouri Highway Patrol, who has overseen the protest down in Ferguson, up in Ferguson, mentioned yesterday that the Quik Trip that was burned is actually going to be rebuilt. He's I don't know his sources. I trust what he said, but apparently, because I had heard that the Quik Trip was saying, "Nah, we're good. We got one down the street. We're fine." But apparently, they're going to rebuild, and I think that's a great thing. I think that's a wonderful thing. So good news there. Also, there's been some concern over police officers, specifically those who have been in Ferguson wearing wristbands that say, I am Darren Wilson. They support Darren Wilson. And whether or not they are appropriate. In fact, Captain Johnson was asked that, I believe, yesterday in a press conference.
I think that that was not a statement of law enforcement. That wearing of that was an individual statement. I do expect that our officers, this unified command, and all those that respond in a professional manner. And that when we wear this uniform, we understand that we've got a professional standard that we must adhere to.
So do you disagree with them wearing them?
I tell you, we will have conversation with those agencies after this meeting.
Sounds like somebody's in trouble, dog. He didn't seem too happy about that, huh? Go to talking360.com, click on news, and there before you will be a picture of an officer wearing one of those Darren Wilson badges. But I guess if there were ever an 800-pound elephant in the room, it would be the question, should they be wearing those bracelets? No, they shouldn't. Especially those who are working in Ferguson. It's just too hot to be doing that. Do they have a right to wear them? Freedom of expression? I don't know. I don't know if legally police officers can do that. Someone can say, well, we've had politicians who have demanded for the arrest of Darren Wilson. They're politicians. Yeah, but that's different, though, right? That's different. We're giving hell to that one politician who doesn't want to see police officers wear body cameras. And he's been saying he's also, I have to be fair, he's also, I think, a member of the police board, the police officers union or something like that. But I think, is that Ruda, is that his name? But should officers be allowed to wear the wristbands? No, not to me, no. Especially in this situation where it's still very hot. It's a very hot situation that can come to a boil at any time. And I don't think that any officer should be wearing that right now, especially if you're working in Ferguson. So I know there was a Department of Justice town hall meetings. We're going to run out of town halls, having all these town hall meetings. I've spoken about that before. And one of the things brought up is sometimes police officers don't wear their name badge. So you don't know their name. If you get treated inappropriately by a police officer, how do you do that? If you don't see their name, maybe you don't see their badge number, but you got to be able to at least see their name. And I believe the Department of Justice says, yeah, that's a problem. That's a real problem, and it is. It's time. We need to weed out these police officers. Police officers want to be given the benefit of the doubt. And you know what? Residents want to trust the police. They want to trust the police. But at this point, there's no reason why anybody should trust the police in Ferguson, in North County, in St. Louis. Give us a reason why we should trust you, given everything that's happened to African Americans. I mean, if that's not your reality, mistreatment by the police, well, God bless you, that's great. But the reality is, and Wendell Pierce spoke about this on Bill Maher the other day, that whenever a black male gets pulled over by the police, it's very possible that you may not be far from death. That's how black men feel when they get pulled over by the police. You're not supposed to feel that way. And the police department is obligated to do something about that. They're obligated to change the landscape of how police conduct themselves in regards to especially in regards to African Americans, but people of color also catch hell too. I mean, there's not many Latinos in the St. Louis region, but you go down to Houston and you'll get your fair share of people of Hispanic heritage who will say they're harassed by the police. So it happens, and the police need to change their ways, man. And if we can't get that kind of change, then we need to elect people who appoint the police chief that is going to take a stand and make a change. And if they don't, if we elect them, a mayor, and he appoints a police chief who doesn't change anything, then we got to vote the mayor out and get another mayor. We got to stay involved is my point. We got to keep that happening. That's my point, because the way it's going right now, it ain't working. It's never worked as far as African Americans are concerned. Finally today, a woman in Florida was arrested after police found her baby in the trunk of the car she was driving. Brianna Watkins is 19 years old. She was pulled over for a busted tail light, but when they tried to pull her over, she just kept on driving. So I think like 15 minutes went by, and she finally pulled over. And during the stop, police heard a baby crying. And they heard it coming from the trunk. So they snatched the keys out of the ignition, and they went and opened the trunk, and there's the baby. And she said she didn't have a car seat for her 5-month-old baby, and she didn't want to get a ticket, so she stuck the baby in the trunk. Seriously? Really? I mean, come on, man. Come on. And in the trunk, the baby, I believe, was laying next to a can of gas. I think there was some trimming shears back there somewhere. There was some stuff, some pretty dangerous stuff in the trunk around the baby. Where if she'd have made a hard left or a hard right or came to a complete stop, some of that stuff, the gas might have spilled on the child. Possible that the shears may have punctured the child. I mean, I don't know. But who does that? Who puts their child in the trunk because they don't have a car seat? Stop, stop, stop. This is crazy. No. Can't do that. No. Somebody will make an excuse for her. Hey, man, life's hard, man. She had to do what she had to do. No, sorry. That dog, it just don't hunt. It don't hunt, I'm sorry. It don't work for me. I don't know about you, but it don't work for me. Hey, that's all I got today. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you sharing, posting, all that stuff. I'm getting tired of telling you all this, but I need to say it because I need your help. And if you can help out, that would be awesome sauce. All right, thank you so much for checking out the Tony Scott Internet Show. All right, have a wonderful day. Football tonight, Giants and the Redskins. I hate saying that word. And also scandals on tonight. So lots of entertainment on television. And there are other shows too, I'm sure. And I'll see you tomorrow. All right, have a great day.